Tonight, I'm going to be speaking the glories of Mother Ganga. Tomorrow is known as Ganga Puja, so I prepared a special class on Mother Ganga. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militang Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Trinadapi Sunichena Torar Api Sahishnuna Amanina Manadena Kirtaniya Sadahari Hare Nama Hare Nama Hare Nama Eva Kevala Kalo Nastyeva 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 Gatir Anyata Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasa Adigor Bhakta Brinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So I've been doing recently, before lecturing, I usually recite these prayers, but especially when I come here, I like to add the following mantra. Vancha kalpa turubhyascha kripa sindubhya evacha patitanang pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. So, I'd like to make a dedication because there's a special friend of mine. His name is Nitai. And I'm going to dedicate this class to my special friend. He's a young boy, and he is able to converse with me as if he's a senior devotee. I'm amazed some months ago, we were taking prasad together, and for about 40 minutes, he was asking high-level questions. And I was like, who is this? So I'd like to dedicate to him. All right? All in favor say, Jai Srila Prabhupada. So, first, since most of us are householders, it's worth noting a statement made by Narada Muni to Maharaj Yudhisthira at the time of the Rajasuya sacrifice. Srinvan Bhagavato Bhikshnam Avatara Katamritam Sardadhano Yatha Kalam Upashanta Jana Vritaha Satsangach Chanakai Sangam Atmajayat Majadishu Vimuchain Muchamaneshu Swayang Snapavad Uttataha. A grihasta must associate again and again with saintly persons, and with great respect, one must hear the nectar of the activities of the Supreme Lord and His incarnations, as these activities are described in Srimad Bhagavatam and other Puranas. Thus, one should gradually become detached from family affection, exactly like one awakening from a dream. So I always like this two shlokas here. When I first read it many, many years ago, I said, yes, this is what I must always remember, that I must constantly hear the narration of Krishna. Now it said, Srimad Bhagavatam, and in my recent current studies of the third canto, Prabhupada made a note that this is how we associate with the Lord, by hearing of and studying His narrations. And this is real sacrifice. This is real object of what we should be doing. Simply becoming absorbed in the pastimes of the Lord. So let's begin my research. Of course, everything is taken from the teachings of our founder Acharya, everyone's Shiksha Guru, if not initiating Guru, Srila Prabhupada. Because we sing every morning, Guru Mukha Padma Vakya, Chitte te Korea Aikya, Arna Koriho Mane Ash. I only want to hear the words emanating from the lotus mouth of my spiritual master, and I don't want anything else. All right? So beginning, this is a verse I mentioned a couple of months ago when I spoke about Mahadev, Lord Shiva. I quoted this very famous verse which appears in the final chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Nimna ganang yatha Ganga, devanam achyuto yatha, Vaishnavanam yatha Shambhu, Purananam idam tata. Just as the Ganga is the greatest of all rivers. So that's our topic. Lord Achyuta, or Krishna, supreme among deities. Lord Shambhu, or Shiva, the greatest of Vaishnavas. And Srimad Bhagavatam is the greatest of all Puranas. All right? First, let's look at what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. In chapter 10, the Vibhuti Yoga chapter, where Krishna explains to Arjuna 80 one or so specific vibhutis, opulences. So one of them, please repeat, this is easy. Please repeat. Srotasam Asmi Janavi. Of flowing rivers, I am the river Ganga. And later on, we're going to get more detail how that is true. Because Gita is just summary. Bhagavatam, full explanation. So, I am reminded whenever I hear this name Jahnavi, on the way up the hour or so drive from my home to come here, which I enjoy, because it's 1 hour of samadhi. I have on my iPhone so many lectures and classes. So many years ago, I did a webcast on Ganga, and there is this story of how when she was coming down, because Bhagirath had satisfied the Lord, and Bhagirath spoke to the objections of Ganga. She didn't want to come to earth, so she posed some conditions, and Bhagirath, being very intelligent, satisfied those. So when Ganga was coming down, there was this great saint, Janu, and he was thinking, uh-oh, Ganga is going to split the earth. So what did Janu do? He swallowed Ganga, and then it came out his ear. And that's why she's known as, she has several names, one of them, Jahnavi. All right. First we go to the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. The sages of Naimisharanya are asking questions of their Guru Sutta. And so in one of their statements they say, Yat pada sangshraya sutta munaya prashamayama sadya punanti upasrista svardhuni apo nusevaya. O Sutta, those great sages who have completely taken shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord can at once sanctify those who come in touch with them, whereas the waters of the Ganga can sanctify only after prolonged usage. So, when Bhagirath was petitioning Ganga to come, her conditions were, first of all, people are going to bathe in my water and they will deposit their sinful reactions. After some time, I'm going to be blocked up. What will I do? So Bhagirath, very intelligent, said, no. When Vaishnavas, when saintly persons take bath in the Ganges, they will assume all those reactions and you will be cleansed. Then she gave second stipulation. All right, you must understand, when I come, I will be very powerful. Who will support me? Because I don't want to go down to the lower regions. So Bhagirath said, no problem. Mahadev, Lord Shiva, he will brace you when you come down and stop the heavy force. So he worshipped Lord Shiva and he agreed. So when Ganga came, Lord Shiva collected it in his head and broke the force. Nevertheless, I was listening today, there are statements in Bhagavatam that actually Ganga does flow in the lower regions, because the universe is divided into upper, middle, and lower planetary systems. So Ganga is known by 3 different. In the heavenly planets, they know her as Mandakini. Everybody say. On earth, we know her as Ganga, or the English word, Ganges. But I like Ganga better, right? Right? And then in the lower regions, she's known as Bhagavati. Everybody say? All right, let's continue. Are you becoming inspired? Is this helping your Krishna consciousness? Good. Then I'll proceed. So now, towards the end of the first canto, Sutta Goswami has been explaining from the beginning different topics. So at one point, he says, who can be worthy of the name Supreme Lord but the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna? Brahmaji collected the water emanating from the nails of Krishna's feet in order to award it to Lord Shiva as a worshipful welcome. This very water, the Ganga, is purifying the whole universe, including Lord Shiva. So we can see Ganga Devi, very, very holy, very, very purifying. Then, further down, Sutta is speaking about Maharaj Parikshit, who sat down to fast for 7 days because he got a text message that he would die within, yes, if you can crack a joke and they laugh, you've got the audience. A trick I learned a long, long time ago. Yes. You know, I don't know the exact quote, maybe Dravida knows, but something to the effect that Prabhupada once said something like this, that if you practice something for 7 years rigidly, you become expert. Have you? You never heard that? I know I heard it somewhere, and not from the TV, no. Jai. Hare Krishna. So, what the point I'm making is, I've been speaking publicly now, full-time you can say, since 1994. So, the more you do it, the better you get at it. Whether it be playing the mridanga or trying to recite Sanskrit. I posted recently on the Brooklyn Henry Street Temple face page. My good friend, also good friends with Dravida, Pushkar Das. So when the first morning that I attended the morning program, we were chanting japa in the temple room. New York temple room, I think, was a little smaller than this. So the temple room was packed with brahmacharis. The ladies, they chanted in the hallways and upstairs. Temple room was for the brahmacharis. So everybody had their little corner. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare. And so there was a lane in between. So I was pacing back and forth, chanting japa for the first time. And there was this devotee, Pushkar Das, and he had these, I don't know if they still have them, index cards. Before we had cell phones, there was such a thing as index cards. And on each index card was a shloka. So I could see him in between his japa. He was looking at his index cards and reciting verses. So I said, how do I learn? He goes, you just chant it over and over and over and over and over again. So then, later, I picked that up, made my cards, and that's how I learned my first shlokas. And we know, here in this temple, you have the Shloka Acharya. Nobody can touch Shloka Acharya Dravida Das. So especially when I come here, I try to impress him with some of my Sanskrit shlokas. And if I mess up philosophically, or Dravida will meet me outside now. But he's very good at, no. He's very good. He doesn't like, no. Very sweetly, humbly, but with authority, he'll say, well, it's not exactly like this. But that's good. That's good. Because I have full faith. I have no problem. So thank you for being a real friend. Because a real friend isn't the one who always, you're so great, man. That's not a friend. Friend is like my wife. Hey, stop your nonsense. That's a real friend. Somebody who can lovingly point out. Yes. All right. So, this verse. So Maharaj Parikshit sat down firmly on the banks of the Ganga to concentrate his mind in Krishna consciousness, rejecting all other processes of self-realization, because transcendental loving service to Krishna is the greatest achievement, superseding all other methods. This is a famous verse. Let's see if I can do it. Yavaila sash shri tulasi vimrisha Krishnangri Renu Abhyadad Kambu Netri Punati Lokan Ubayatra Seshan Kastang Nase Veta Marishyamanaha. The river Ganga, by which the king sat to fast, carries the most auspicious water, which is mixed with the dust of the lotus feet of the Lord and tulsi leaves. In this temple, do you do tulsi vivaha? Do you do that festival? Clue. I'm not going to say it, but I'll leave it up to you. Therefore, that water sanctifies the three worlds inside and outside, and even sanctifies Lord Shiva and other demigods. Consequently, everyone who's destined to die must take shelter of this river. So again, Lord Shiva is mentioned, and he's going to be mentioned more depending how the time goes. Thus, Parikshit, the worthy descendant of the Pandavas, decided once and for all and sat on the bank of the Ganga to fast until death and give himself up to the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. Because Krishna is, everybody say, Mukunda. Because Mukunda alone is able to award liberation. So freeing himself from all kinds of associations and attachments, Parikshit accepted the vows of a sage. Lately, I would like to share with you, last couple of weeks, continuing, my mortality is becoming more and more, shall we say, front and center. So I'm thinking, I have to settle all accounts with the Corleone family and be ready for the final exam. Because unlike Parikshit got the text message, 7 days. We don't get that. It can come like that. So, that's why Prabhupada taught us to be Krishna conscious, ahora mismo. Now. Right now, be Krishna conscious. So let's do it. Everybody. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. All right, continuing from the Bhagavatam. Oh, this is very nice. My dear King, Lord Vishnu, the enjoyer of all sacrifices, appeared as Vamanadev in the sacrificial arena of Bali Maharaj. Then, everybody say, Urukrama, extended his left foot to the end of the universe and pierced a hole in its covering with the nail of his big toe. Through that hole, the pure water of the causal ocean entered this universe as the Ganga River. And having washed the lotus feet of Lord Vamana, which are covered with reddish powder, the water of the Ganga acquired a very beautiful pink color. See, this is what I like about our scriptures, especially Bhagavatam. Details. We have an expression here in America. The devil is in the details, but in Krishna consciousness, no. God is in the details. And those details are in Prabhupada's books. Gita, Bhagavatam, Nectar of Devotion, teachings of Lord Chaitanya. And if you read, if you study, you will collect some gems. And those gems of knowledge will fill your heart, and you'll be happy. Yes. Every living being can immediately purify his or her mind of material contamination by touching the transcendental water of the Ganga. And yet, its waters remain ever pure. Because the Ganga directly touches the lotus feet of the Lord before descending within this universe, everybody say, she is known as Vishnupadi. And later, she received other names like Jahnavi and Bhagirati. All right, we're still in the 5th canto. Here, the great devotee Prahlad Maharaj. We heard about Prahlad Maharaj earlier this month. We always hear about Prahlad at least once a year. So, Prahlad, in a place called Harivarsha, is worshipping Lord Nrsimha, and he offers mantras and prayers. And this one is very, very nice. By associating with persons for whom Mukunda, everybody say, is the all in all, one can hear of his powerful activities and soon come to understand them. The activities of, got to be paying attention. The activities of Mukunda are so potent that simply by hearing of them, one immediately associates with the Lord. So that's what I was mentioning. This is how you can associate with God on a practical level, just by hearing and reading His name, fame, form, qualities, pastimes, entourage, instructions. It's all absolute. For a person who constantly and very eagerly hears narrations of the Lord's powerful activities, the absolute truth himself, the personality of Godhead, in the form of sound vibrations, enters within one's heart and cleanses it of all contamination. This is so nice. This is exactly what Lord Chaitanya teaches in his first Shikshastakam statement. Chaito Darpana Marjanam. Cleanse the heart, cleanse the mind, cleanse the consciousness, And how do you do that? The form of transcendental sound vibrations. Whether it be the Hare Krishna mantra, any names of God, or the, as I said, fame, pastimes, activities, instructions, anything having to do with the Lord is absolute. On the other hand, now again, so this is now perhaps the second time this point is brought out in Bhagavatam. On the other hand, although bathing in the Ganga diminishes bodily contaminations and infections, this process and the process of visiting holy places can cleanse the heart only after a long time. Therefore, who is that sane man who will not associate with devotees to quickly perfect his life? So, Prabhupada wanted us to dress like this: tilak, dhoti, kurta. Prabhupada wanted this. Why? Just like, you know, the policeman by the uniform, or when you go to the hospital, the nurses are dressed in a certain way, the doctor is dressed in a certain way. So Prabhupada expects his disciples and followers to be spiritual doctors. So that as soon as you see a nice devotee with tilak dressed like this, oh yes, there is my devotee physician. Surely by his mystic chants, he can cure my material disease. So that's what we're here for, to answer your doubts, give you, and my job, a word I love. Everybody say, prachodayat. My job is to enthuse you. Enthuse you to love God. Because that is the conclusion. Lord Chaitanya pointed out, Panchama Purusha Artha, the fifth goal, beyond dharma, beyond artha, beyond kama. And Lord Chaitanya says, beyond moksha. Wait. Beyond moksha is this thing, prema, love of God. All right. In the 8th canto, we find this nice statement. The best of demigods, Lord Shiva, who carries on his forehead the emblem of the moon. I think it's a half moon? Yes, half moon. Receives on his head with great devotion the Ganga water emanating from the toe of Vishnu. And being aware of religious principles, Bali Maharaj knew this. So this is also in the Vamana Leela in the 8th canto. Consequently, following in the footsteps of Lord Shiva, Bali also placed on his head the water that had washed Lord Vamana's lotus feet. Now, Prabhupada's purport details. This is very nice. Lord Shiva is known as Gangadhar. Everybody say. Or one who carries the water of the Ganga on his head. On Lord Shiva's forehead is the emblem of the half moon. There it is. Yet, to give supreme respect to Krishna, Lord Shiva placed the water of the Ganga above this emblem. This example should be followed by everyone, or at least by every devotee, because Lord Shiva is one of the Mahajanas. There are 12 Mahajans listed in Bhagavatam. Mahajan means authority. When you have some critical, something very important, then you want to go to authority. You don't want to go to some hack. No. If you want real scientific knowledge, you go to authority. So Lord Shiva is one of those authorities on the science of God. Prabhupada continues. Similarly, Maharaj Bali also later became a Mahajan. One Mahajan follows another Mahajan. And by following this parampara system of Mahajana activities, one can become advanced in spiritual consciousness. The water of the Ganga is sanctified because it emanates from the toe of Lord Vishnu. Bali washed the lotus feet of Vamanadev, and the water which he did so became equal to the Ganga. So listen, every day here in this temple, we bathe the deities, yes? Every day. So that water is also Ganga. Because what's the Ganga? Water which washed the lotus feet of the Lord. Every day, the Lord is being washed. So, just come to the temple in the morning and get that water. Yes, Charanamrita. Bali Maharaj, who perfectly knew all religious principles, took that water on his head, following in the footsteps of Lord Shiva. So this is also from the section of Vamanadev. That's a sizable portion of the 8th canto, several chapters, the whole story of Vamanadev. The water from Lord Brahma's Kamandalu water pot washed the lotus feet of Vamanadev, who is known, everybody say, Urukrama, the wonderful actor. Thus, the water became so pure that it was transformed into the water of the Ganga, which went flowing down from the sky, purifying the 3 worlds like the pure fame of the personality of Godhead. So, Parashara Muni, he's the father of Vyasadeva. He has this wonderful shloka. And I memorized this because I had read in Krishna book, Prabhupada was saying, Krishna is God because he has all the opulences of the Godhead. But Prabhupada at that point didn't give us the shloka. After a few months living in the temple, there was a Back to Godhead magazine, and there was the shloka. So I immediately remembered it and memorized it, following Pushkar's Sampradaya instruction. Let's see if I still remember it. Aishvarasya samagrasya viryasya yashasa sriya jnana vairagya yoshchaiva shanang bhaga itingana. So, yasha, fame. God is that person who is unlimitedly famous. Again, Prabhupada has some nice details in his purport. Prabhupada writes, so here we understand that the Ganga began when the water from Lord Brahma's Kamandalu washed the lotus feet of Lord Vamana. But in the 5th canto it was stated that the Ganga began when Vamanadev's left foot pierced the covering of the universe. We studied that verse already. So that the transcendental water of the causal ocean leaked through. And elsewhere it is also stated that Lord Narayan appeared as the water of the Ganga. Thus, the water of the Ganga is a combination of 3 transcendental waters. And thus the Ganga is able to purify the 3 worlds. This is the description given by our Acharya Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, authority. Prabhupada quotes Vishwanatha so many times in his purports. We sing, his prayer every morning. Vande Guru Sri Charanara Vindam. Vande Guru Sri Charanara Vindam. All right, my next selection is from 10th Canto. 10th Canto is the real target of the whole Srimad Bhagavatam. 90 chapters is the 10th Canto, biggest section. Shukadeva Goswami said, the Ganga, emanating from the toe of Lord Vishnu, purifies the three worlds, upper, middle, and lower planetary systems. But listen, similarly, when one asks questions about the pastimes and characteristics of Lord, everybody say, Vasudeva, or Krishna. Three varieties of men are purified. The speaker or preacher, one who inquires, and the people in general who listen. So I didn't do the Sanskrit, and this is a nice verse, so let me do it. Vasudeva katha prashna purushang strin punatihi bhaktarang prachakang shrotrings tatpada salilang yatha. Yeah, there it is. Everybody say, Vasudeva katha prashna. Excellent. See? You've been listening and paying attention, and your consciousness is whoop, 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 whoop. Very good. I'll give you 3 bells. Very good. Oh. Yes, I try to design my classes. You leave the best for last. Prabhupada writes in Krishna book, my favorite book, Srila Shukadeva Goswami has concluded the 90th chapter of the 10th canto by pointing out 5 particular excellences of Lord Krishna. So, Prabhupada wrote Krishna book 1969, but later in the 80s and 90s, the 10th canto, 11th canto, and 12th cantos were translated. Nirantara Dasa worked on those portions. Yes, we are so privileged to have this devotee in our community. Rare gem. Yes. See, he's a devotee. See what he's doing? The real devotee doesn't want to hear themselves praised. Now you know he's real devotee. Whereas me, yeah, more. Say more, yeah. So, here's how I broke out the verse. You correct me if I got it wrong. Tirthang chakre nirponang yad ajini yadusu sarit pada saucham. The heavenly Ganga is a holy place of pilgrimage because her waters wash Lord Krishna's feet. But when Krishna descended, how long ago? 5,000 years ago. Among the Yadus, Krishna's glories eclipsed the Ganga as a holy place. So when you dive into Krishna Leela, whoa. Now, for those who don't know, if you're interested, every Wednesday, I do a Zoom class for some devotees in Panama. A couple of years ago, we went through the whole Bhagavad Gita, and then we started Krishna book. So we're right now at the prayers of the personified Vedas. So if anybody is interested in joining my Krishna book club, as I like, just let me know. I just need your email, and you will get an invite on every Tuesday saying, reminder, tomorrow's, and no charge, free. Just come and listen. Oh, in my Zoom class, at the end, everybody who's attending has to share their realizations. Everybody takes a minute or so. So that's part. Number 2. Vidvit snigdha swarupam yayur. Both those who hated Krishna and those who loved Krishna attained eternal forms like Krishna in the spiritual world. Wow. Just by being part of Krishna's Leela. Then, number 3, Ajita Parashir Yad Arthe Anya Yatna. The unattainable and supremely satisfied Lakshmi, the goddess of fortune, for the sake of whose favor everyone struggles, belongs to Krishna alone. Because one of Krishna's names, everybody say, Madhava. I'm sure there's more than one meaning, but usually the meaning is given, husband of the goddess of fortune. And here in this temple, we have the original goddess of fortune, Radhaji. Sri Radha Giridhari. Yes, she is the origin of all the Lakshmis, all the Gopis, all the queens of Dwaraka. They're all expansions of Srimati Radha Prabhupada in one place, Thakurani. Yes. Number 4. Yan namam gala ganang shrutam afa gaditang. Krishna's name destroys all inauspiciousness when heard or chanted. There it is. There is the whole Hare Krishna movement philosophy wrapped up in one line. Krishna's name destroys all inauspiciousness. Everybody say, Krishna. Krishna. Come on. Krishna. One more time. Krishna. There you go. You got to say it with feeling. Like on Valentine's Day, you don't say, I love you. No. You have to mean it. So, Prabhupada taught us how to call out Krishna's name like a child for its mother. I'm sure this one sometimes calls out. Yes? That's how we should be chanting in that mood. Number 5. Yat krito gotra dharma Krishna syaitan nachitrang shiti bada haranang kala chakra yudasya. Krishna alone has set forth the principles of the various disciplic successions of sages. So, what wonder is it that Krishna, whose personal weapon is the wheel of time, relieved the burden of the earth? Because that was the reason why Krishna agreed to come down. The opening scene of the 10th canto, Mother Earth is crying. She takes the form of a cow. And with tears in her eyes, Mother Earth goes to the Creator, Lord Brahma. And she explains, I'm feeling overburdened. There are too many demons. And they have built up a military-industrial complex. I need to be relieved. There's too many demons. But Brahma, he figures, this is above my pay grade. Let's go. So they go to the ocean of milk. Because in the ocean of milk, there is Kshirodakashayi Vishnu. Kshirodakashayi Vishnu lies on a planet known as Shweta Dweep, the White Island, situated in the ocean of milk. White on white? So, Lord Brahma sits in meditation. No, first, he and all the demigods went with Lord Brahma, Mother Earth, Lord Shiva, and they all went, and they offered this prayer, Purusha Sukta. There are some South Indian temples, they recite that Purusha Shukta prayer. So they all did that. But the Lord didn't respond. Then Lord Brahma sat in meditation, and he heard in his heart, and Krishna said, I am coming. I will relieve the burden of the earth. I will destroy all the demons. And that's exactly what happened. Krishna lived on this earth for 125 years, but he didn't become an old man. No. Prabhupada said he didn't look more than 16 or maybe 25 years old at the age of 125. Yes, that is God, not some old man with a beard in the Sistine Chapel. No. Our God is Navayovana, ever youthful. Our God is Madan, Cupid. Oh. When it comes to God, Krishna takes the cake. So that's what Krishna did. And at the end of the Krishna Leela, Lord Brahma, when Krishna was in Dwaraka, Lord Brahma came down along with all the demigods, and Lord Brahma was situated in the sky, and he addressed Krishna in Dwaraka. Krishna, you have done everything we have asked you. You have established real religion. You have killed all the demons. So now, if you like, we asked you to come. You did everything we asked. You can return. Krishna said, yes, but there are still a few demons left. Then I can go. That's another story. That's another lecture. But then after that, that final batch, then Krishna didn't die. Don't think that Krishna died. Yes, he got struck in the foot with an arrow, but he did not die. No. In fact, Krishna liberated the hunter who shot him. What was his name? Jara. Yes, Jara thought he was shooting some animal like a deer. And when he saw that he struck Krishna in the foot, he must have been a devotee because he bowed down and prayed to Krishna. Krishna said, no problem. I'm cool. No offense. No offense. In fact, you can go back home, back to Godhead. How about that? You step on my toe. Hey! But Krishna, no. Reminds me of that other story of when Bhrigu Muni was sent to see of the principal devas, who's the best, who's the topmost. So Bhrigu Muni and the demigods, they had a scheme. They were going to purposely agitate the Lord and see the response. So Bhrigu first went to his father, Lord Brahma. Those of you in Indian culture, when you go see the parents, you offer respects, you make a gesture, you touch the feet. Am I right? We still do that in Indian culture. I've seen. So Bhrigu didn't do that. He just came in. So Brahma was annoyed. What is this son of mine doing? So Brahma got angry, but he controlled it. But he did get angry. So then Bhrigu went to see his brother, Lord Shiva. And he spoke some not so nice words. Not so nice words. And Lord Shiva also got angry. But Parvati stopped him. No. Don't do it. So then Bhrigu went to see Lord Vishnu. And at that time, Lord Vishnu was lying on his serpent bed, Ananta. And Lakshmi was there, massaging as she likes to do. Yes, the men are thinking, why doesn't my wife massage me? First become like Lord Vishnu, then you can expect to get massaged. So what did Bhrigu do? He stepped on the chest of the Lord. You say kick, step, kick, right? If you're sleeping and somebody steps on you, huh? Lord Vishnu didn't get agitated like Brahma and Shiva. In fact, Lord Vishnu said, oh, Bhrigu, did you hurt your foot? Because my chest is so hard. You sure? So Bhrigu returned. He saw and he gave his report to all the demigods. Brahma acted like this, Lord Shiva acted like this, but Lord Vishnu, So all the sages concluded, supreme is Lord Vishnu, Narayan, Bhagavan, Sri Krishna. Okay. Did we have transcendental fun? That's the idea. My wife has told me that we've been married since 1980, and she'll always say, the only reason I married you and the only reason I stay with you is because you make Krishna consciousness fun. So that's who you get when I come once a month. And one of these months, my wife will come, and you can tell her what you really think. Hari Haraye Namaha. Hari Haraye Namaha. Javeda, get your microphone. Get a microphone. Hari Haraye Namaha.
Hari Haraye Namaha.
So, Javeda Ji, I'm sure will be able to add a little more nectar to today's class. So let's encourage him. Let's empower him. Very good.
Well, one thing I was just thinking about, I forgot to mention at the end there, how Bhrigu kicked Vishnu in the chest, and Lakshmi was not pleased. And therefore, the Brahmins are always poor. See, that's why the Brahmins don't usually are pretty poor. But in a way of...
That explains it.
Anyway, I was just thinking of this verse. It's of course related. Everything was related. But how Rupa Goswami describes falling, how all of us are like have fallen into this deep well of Maya, and our only hope is that Krishna will extend the rope of bhakti into this well that we've fallen in and pull us out. So here's the verse, and I'll give my little poem. Manusijapandi dushte, labdapatos mi dushte, timaragahna rupe, hanta sangsara kupe, ajita nikala rakshahe tamuddara dakshamupanayyamamahaste bhakti rajun namaste. Fallen in this deep and dark and dirty well of Maya, threatened by the snake of lust, whose venom burns like fire. Helplessly I pray, O Lord, whose strength is ne'er in doubt, place the rope of bhakti in my hands and pull me out. And whenever I use that verse in a class, I always point out that we only have to do one thing. We have to hold on to that rope very tightly, which consists of carefully understanding and following the principles of bhakti that Srila Prabhupada has given us, following in the line of the great acharyas. So, it's one edition. It's not exactly according to what you...
No. You're free to do what you like. I'm not in any position to instruct you. You're above me. All right. before we have our final kirtan, if anyone's interested, if you want to get in touch with me, you can take my card. I have lecture or classes CDs. I have music CDs. And I have some DVDs free of charge. Take as many as you like. That's my gift to you because, as I said last month, this is my favorite temple to come and preach. Thank you very, very much.
Hare Krishna.